Hello and welcome to yet another Arsenal podcast. I'm Mark and I'm here with Anfield 89 veteran Richard. Hello Rich, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad.
So we are talking to you the morning after Arsenal v Brentford, and I guess there must be someone out there who was only able to watch the first 12 minutes and then had to go out and didn't have any access to a phone and saw the final score as 2-0 and thought it might be more than that.
Yeah, a regulation win.
And so it was or will be going down in the record books as a regulation win. Did it feel like that to you?
Do you know what? In hindsight...
No, not in hindsight. At the time. I want to know.
At the time, I was extremely uncomfortable.
Me too. And again, we've spoken about this before. I felt it against Spurs, against Palace, against Brentford last night as well, where it's 1-0, or sometimes even you got a couple of goals, and you're watching it in abject terror. As you say, in hindsight, that is the PTSD of late Wenger, mid-Emery era blow-ups, isn't it? Because they didn't have a shot in the second half, or at least not a shot on target. But it didn't feel like that, though, did it?
I think because we are so used to total control in games, our benchmarks are so high these days that if we're not in complete control and another team, heaven forbid, has the ball, we will have a meltdown.
Well, I would say it is that we're not used to that, and we're not used to a team sitting in, being comfortable defending, and it is the fact that we're not used to that. What we are used to is last-minute winners, corners coming in, drawing games that you should win, Lauren Koscielny booting the ball in his own face in the semi-final of UEFA Cups to give an idiot
nearly spat my drink out there.
You know, all those deepest of which is in a game that we won, with obviously Fabianski running out of his goal in the last minute of extra time against Hull. All those experiences are combining to make me an utter ball of nerves watching these games, where really I should be sitting there in total comfort.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's scar tissue. It's scar tissue from previous regimes. Every football fan has this. We're not the only ones.
No.
You always remember the moments you made a balls up and how that felt. But I think what combined with that was another defensive injury, not having our two centre-halves, just our starting centre-halves. But I think just the whole picture created nerves for everybody.
Yeah, it did. You're right. And so it comes to the team, and we have had three pretty intense games against Spurs, Bayern and Chelsea. More of Chelsea in a minute.
Yes, please.
And so it comes to Brentford, home game, mid-table, but as we said in the last episode, you can't take any of these teams for granted. They've all got decent players and can hurt you, and you know, the long throw merchants can cause chaos, so you've got to treat them with respect. And that said, we did need to change the team around a bit, and he did change the team around a little bit with Martinelli again starting, but Ben White coming in. That was notable, and Madueke starting on the right in place of Saka. How did you feel about the team and the lineup?
Pleased with both of those. I think they're sensible options. You've got to look at it realistically. Players that come in 9 times out of 10 aren't going to be on the same level as the player they're taking over from, especially in Saka's case. But I like, as we said in the last pod, I like what Madueke gives us. I love old Benny White. You know, obviously, we had our concerns about his fitness levels, but I mean, how many teams have Ben White just sitting there, or a player of that calibre to bring on?
Let's come to Ben White, because I thought that was a positive. Not necessarily a positive was Madueke's performance. Now, I don't want to get on him too much, but I'm going to say if you're not a Madueke fan, that was probably a performance that would drive you absolutely mental. And because he started off really well. Him and Ben White combining really well. And they probably played together in training as, you know, the sort of backup right back and right winger. I imagine when they do 11-a-side or little drills, it'll be the team that's playing and then the team that's not. So I assume they have some sort of understanding forged in training already. Just a guess. And I think that showed. Played really well. And he's a skillful, tricky player, Madueke, that he looks very dangerous. The big criticism of him is end product. And we saw a little bit of that as well. I know he scored against Bayern. Give him credit for that. If he could add that to his game, which he may well do under Arteta's coaching, then we have, far from a little bit of an expensive player, which is how I see him at the moment, probably got a bargain. But he does have to add that to his game.
I think, I totally agree. I think that was always the knock on him at Chelsea, was his end product. But I believe if there's any environment where that can be added, that's here. If anyone's going to add that to him, it's us.
Yeah, that's entire. I think he needs to relax a little bit. Sometimes when players come into the team and they know they're not first choice, as he definitely isn't, they can snatch at things, they can rush things because it's in their mind that this might be their one opportunity for a couple of weeks to get significant minutes. And maybe that's in. He's just got to settle into that, especially as the season progresses. We've got so many games in the next month. He's going to get loads of time. So he needs to calm it, vomit, and settle down, calm down, and it will come for him as well. I thought the crowd got on his back quite quickly because he took 2 shitty corners in a row, and you're talking about getting used to. We've got used to unusually consistent across professional footballers delivery from Rice and Saka, like putting it on the money every single time. And that is really, really unusual, even the best players. And he hit the first man twice, and I thought the crowd was a little bit quick to get on his back, and I wasn't a big fan of it.
Short memories. We had decades of that.
Yeah, it's funny. We got long memories of all the stress and angst, but as soon as someone has the temerity not to take the perfect corner,
we're all up in arms.
Want to sell him?
Yeah, I think they work. I think they worked really well together, and I was so pleased by White's energy, his movement, his pace, and that was the one thing I really kept an eye on. How was he moving? Was he okay? He was blowing out of his arse by the end of it, which is, I imagine the plan was 60 minutes, 70 minutes, drop Timber in to clear up, and then, but unfortunately we're losing men like it's the Battle of the Somme at the moment.
They are dropping like flies. I'd like to talk about Timber's performance in a minute, but let's stick with Ben White. As you said, I'm convinced he wasn't meant to play the whole game, but he is someone that will play through discomfort, and whether that's just cardiovascularly and stamina wise, he will. And I thought he played it very sensibly as well. Like that last 20 minutes, he seemed just to sit in and basically be a third centre half.
Yeah, he wasn't getting forward, which I think was the right thing to do. He was managing his time, he was managing his energy and his body.
Yeah, but in the first half, as you say, I had my concerns not about him as a person or as a player. It's just whether the toll of those injuries had been too high, because when he had come on, I didn't think he looked very fluid. When he looked a little bit weird in the way that he was moving, but like his ability wise, he's the same player, I think. And those fears were totally put to bed in that first half. Getting around the outside, popping up where Arsenal fullbacks are now popping up all the time, i.e. the centre-forward position, being dangerous, and ultimately creating the goal with a great cross. But he might be one of the best player of delivering from that, to be able to, in a very short space, get the ball up, down, and into a dangerous position. And so it proved.
Yeah, that was a lovely move for the goal. We had a nice, lovely pre-assist from Madueke to flick behind himself, which bamboozled the left back and froze him long enough where White had acres of space. And if you give him that sort of space, 9 times out of 10, that ball is on the money. And he delivered the perfect ball. And Europe's second hottest striker was there to deliver. The mailman delivered. What are we doing?
I know. That's like his goal attempts or goal involvements. His goal involvements. As I said, imagine if we had to try and buy a player with that sort of output at the moment, how much he would be. I would say he's better in that position than the position that we'd bought him for.
Totally. I mean, what is it on the market? Do you want someone that can play the number 10 and get you 30 goal contributions, can also play in the centre of midfield at an elite level? That'll be £100 million, please.
Yeah, easily 100 million. I mean, look at Declan Rice. I mean, we got him a bit of a discount, as is widely documented. But yeah, what a find that is. And I think it says something about Arteta. I am a massive Arteta fan. I know some people got issues with his sort of David Brentism. I love all that. I think he thinks outside the box. He understands the data side of things. He understands motivation. He definitely understands tactics and how to set up a team. He understands how important the details are. little less understanding about how far players can run over and over again. My one concern. And he makes players better. He makes players better. I mean, you could say that about Declan Rice, actually. You go, I didn't realise what a brilliant player he was. I knew he could do certain things, but I didn't realise he could do all this. I think Arteta's got to take a lot of credit for that. Obviously, the players got to react and learn and want to do that. But he's got to have a coach that doesn't see him as this six just sitting in front of the back four destroying and giving the ball sideways. Like, Southgate and Moyes had this player and they didn't realise. They did not realise it.
It's all about coaching philosophy. I mean, you saw with England, with the players at disposal, it was always a safety first mentality with Southgate, whether you liked him or not. But we got through a lot of those games because of the pure talent in that side. Moyes, I love David Moyes, the man, great, but his style of football would make me want to pull my eyes out.
If so much style of football, I don't think it even occurred to them that Declan Rice could do this. In their mind, he was a former centre-half who is a really great destroyer in front of the back four. And he can do that, Rob, but modern football is not about just destroying from that part. Like, all the top teams in the world have a playmaker there. Like, I mean, say something about English football. I don't think any way you would have a Pirlo playing deep in the midfield in that role. But Arteta saw something in Declan Rice and he's seen something in Maria. All right, his hand was forced, but he has taken it and made something out of it. And I think that is a brilliant sign of a coach, of someone who is able to solve the most difficult of problems. And we have got 3 centre forwards out and he has solved that problem. To the extent you're thinking, well, maybe that should be his position now. Maybe he should be the number one choice there. That's how good he has been, and that is credit to Mourinho, the player, and Arteta, the coach.
Absolutely. That was 11 minutes in. I mean, it was as we said, it was a lovely move. We looked comfortable at that point, and the run across. I mean, that was a real centre forwards run across the front of the defender, rose like a shaved Sasquatch at the front post, and the header was perfect. And it was. And at that point, I thought, brilliant. 11 minutes in, let's get another one before half time.
Yep. I had exactly the same thought.
I thought it was a positive performance in the first half. I was always worried at their corners. They seem to be causing more trouble than we normally get.
Do you think that's a function of the first choice centre back pair not being
absolutely. I think those two. Big Gabby dominates everything in that box. Saliba wins more than his fair share of headers, and them organising everyone around them is a massive, massive factor. So it was expected, still not comfortable, especially when...
they did have 3 header on the edge of the 6-yard box, bullet header right at the goal, 1-1 until... What a save that is!
I mean, we do like to jest that. What's the point of having a goalkeeper? We could put anyone there, but there's not many goalkeepers around with the reactions to make that. So when you've got, that's the mark of a great goalkeeper, and it's that old cliche where you may have one thing to do a game, and they do it because he doesn't face many shots. Even the XG was, I think, around 0.35 for them. They didn't have many chances, but when he's called upon, he makes that save.
He is involved though, isn't he? He's not like a spectator with his deck chair out and his book. He is involved in starting to play, but he plays some fucking risky passes as well.
It does worry me.
But, he's told to do that. I'm sure we'll come unstuck at some point this season. We'll say, why didn't he launch it? That's his job. His job is to take risks because the numbers will say that over the course of a season, it's the right thing to do. And
it's the short ones. Yeah, sorry. It's the short ones down the middle when there's like 2 players on Zubamendi and you're like, oh God, he lays one in there. Our players are more than good enough to deal with that.
Yeah.
We're playing a percentage game. You're going to get caught out once in a while doing that, but the overall benefit outweighs the risk.
In retrospect, I think that was a crucial save given the way that Brentford played the game. However, I'm going to put a little counterfactual in because I thought Brentford started the game poorly and we were all over them. They were sitting in, maybe false back, but they definitely were conservative in the way they approached the game. But as soon as they went 1-0 down, unlike a lot of teams, I think they switched to their plan B, which was the aggressive front foot press, high energy, and it worked. I think that we were not comfortable, I don't think, until maybe 70 minutes when Eze came on.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't getting any joy down the left-hand side from Martinelli. It just seems like he's a better impact sub.
Yeah.
Than a. He seems to struggle to beat a man these days. He comes in, he takes up 6-7 touches, comes inside and lays it off. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of him, but over the last couple of years, I'm still a fan of his and want his to do well. But it's almost like you know what's going to happen before it happens, and if we can see that, then the opposition.
Yeah. So his contribution against Bayern and in Bilbao, that's kind of his game, isn't it? And because when you criticise a player, I think it's easy to fall into the trap that you don't like him, but he's got his uses, right? And he's brilliant at what he did, like away at Madrid. But how often are we breaking with only the keeper to beat from the halfway line? I mean, he's probably the best player in the club at doing that. If you wanted someone to carry the ball at pace, 60 yards, and finish, he's got to be right up there, isn't he?
Yeah. But in those scenarios, it's later on in the game, and he's come on as a sub, where that fullback has been run. It's a great weapon to have. The question for the summer, imagine people in the club will have is, for 220 grand, is he worth that? Is it value for money for an impact sub?
Well, he's also got his uses for his work rate. So when you go away to a bigger team, you want to carry a bit of threat. But is Madueke, is Trossard going to have the balance of the defensive solidity that he gives you? Because he will get back in. He will never let you down on that regard. And he does carry a bit of threat on the break, even if he isn't as clinical or as good in those tighter spaces as the alternative options. It's all about balancing that, because that is just as important. If you go away and Mo Salah's on his game, you want a winger that's going to get back and help your fullback, because at some point, no matter how good that fullback is, you're going to get beaten at some point. And then the question is, where does he go from there? And if you've got someone diligent enough to get back there, that's why Arteta loves him. That's why the crowd love him, and sort of forgive his shortcomings, as you should all these players. Not everyone can do everything apart from right.
That's true. And also, talking about players coming back into the fold, we had our skipper come back and start. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think given Eze's minutes, I think it was the right move. The fact he's the captain, the idea that you have a starting 11 and then that's it. I mean, that's as much as Arteta would probably love to do that. Eze had to come out of the team just for load management purposes. And Odegaard gives you something different. I always look at the way that other players react to players. It tells you a lot about what they think of them. I remember I've said before, Arteta away at Bayern would not pass the ball to Carl Jenkinson, no matter the circumstances. That told me a lot about Arteta's view of one of his teammates. He did not want to pass it to him. When Odegaard comes into the team, they look for him. It was like when, I'm not saying that Odegaard is Bergkamp-like in terms of standing in the game and impact. I mean, he's one of the world's best players. But when Dennis used to come, and even in the last stage of his career, everything started to go through him, because other players would get the ball and think, where's Dennis? And look for him. Because they know they can fire in a shitty ball. They know that they can give him some hard work to do and he'll be all right. And that is the way that Odegaard is treated by the Arsenal squad.
I do have a concern with Odegaard.
Go on, what is it?
It's just when he gets around the edge of the box, there is that delay. There's a delay on everything. There's a delay on the shot. There's a delay on the pass. And I was watching him over and over again last night. I mean, when he drops deep, he picks the ball up, his tempo, he leads the press. We press on his trigger. He is so important. And it seems to diminish when he gets to the edge of the box. And I'm looking at, we've bought a striker that needs that early threaded through ball. Does he work with what we're doing there? And my concern is, that when he had that shot in the first half, he could have shot a second before that.
Yeah.
And he just took that, he just dropped his shoulder and then hit it, and the defenders come across. And it's stuff like that. There were times where there was a pass behind the back four, and he looked inside. And it's stuff like that. And you're thinking, we've got to change that. If that's the fulcrum of our side, and we've got a striker that plays in behind, that's not going to work.
No, I'll take that criticism. But I would counter it with what he is looking for is someone completely off balance, because a lot of these players are so good and so athletic that even a free player, like, controls a ball shot, is blocked. And I know the quicker pass is probably the better one, or the more pleasing one as a fan, like you want him to do it. But he's looking for something else. He's looking for a pass where someone can actually get a shot off, rather than it being blocked, and then who knows what's going to happen. And so, because that's his game. He loves wrong-footing players. He loves getting like players off balance. And I think if he sees that the defender isn't off balance or he won't give it, because all right, it might get to Saka at the edge of the back box, but he'll have 3 players around, or it might get to Gyökeres. He's never going to score from there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
I don't know, because the counter to that is that Eze just shows what happens when you just fucking lever it.
There you go. Shoot. And it's not just that. It's we've seen Odegaard do it, but the passes he releases through. I really liked it when he came. I think he gave us a bit more. He would come inside with the ball last night rather than look for that quick pass. He was travelling with it, and I think he gave us an extra dimension when he was on the left-hand side. Who knows? Listen. Gyökeres and Odegaard have played together for about 15 minutes this season, so let's see.
Yeah, that is true. Gyökeres and half unlucky. I know Napoleon said, "Bring me lucky generals." He wouldn't be bringing Victor Gyökeres. I'd say he is not lucky.
No. And even and we'll get onto it. So we'll go back. But even when Saka scored,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, right. He was standing in the middle of the goal, saying, yeah. I could side foot this in 80. I've got meters of space here."
Chelsea game, he's up, his neck's back. He's thinking, right, I'm going to last minute winner, beautiful. And the fucking right back gets in his way.
Yeah, but I think it will come. You've got to get in the positions. Yeah. He gets in the positions enough, it will come.
Yeah, he has. And he has been a little bit unlucky. Some people might say he's fucking lucky to be at the Arsenal.
So, I mean, we got to half-time 1-0. I thought, okay, sorry, scrap that. And then we had the injury to Mosquera.
Yeah, no, it looked like nothing as well. Just came like when they said, he injured himself landed. I thought it'd be one of those where you come down, you see him go over in his ankle or something. Yeah. But it just sort of like a funny little jar that
was there an info? Nothing. Info on what they thought it was, or I'm sure we'll hear in the next few.
Well, he said after the game that Mosquera couldn't really tell him that it was like knee or ankle. That's what Arteta said. He couldn't really tell us.
That's never. I'm not trained in medicine, but that's never a good sign, is it?
No, I'm sure. What he just said, my leg hurt, and then went home.
That's what you do to get out of pee.
Yeah, well, maybe there's that. He had a note from his mum saying Christian's leg hurts him. He can't play the rest of the game. And it did mess up what was probably the Ben White substitution. It also kind of messes up changing the game late on, because you've got 5 subs, but you've only got 3 windows, and so I think spreading the minutes around it sort of messes that up a little bit. But Timber came on, and I think it said something about Timber and how good he is at the moment. I've got no problems about him playing there. He plays for Holland centre half. I've never seen him play for Holland at centre half, but they're not mugs. So, and when you think Mosquera is a great player, how have we found this brilliant player? Comes in, there's no difference, and there kind of isn't until Timber comes there, and you think, right, there's levels to this.
Yeah, he's what a buy. It's just. He's getting better and better and better. Left back, no problem. Right back, yeah, no problem, boss. Centre half, yeah, I'll do that job. I mean, no wonder we're trying to sign his twin brother.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But he was so composed and so calm. It actually made me feel a little bit better. So hopefully it had a similar impact on. And that's no criticism of Mosquera. I think he has been the value signing of the summer, surely, like 12 million for someone who can just come in like that. But as I say, Timber was absolutely phenomenal when he was there. I don't think he lost a single duel. He was composed when they brought Thiago on as well, and like he's a bit of a lump. Absolute calm, personified. Loved
Do you think he's 6 foot? Do you think he's 6
He
foot?
don't look. He don't.
I don't think he is, and yet you do not worry about him playing at centre half.
No,
you just don't. And obviously that was a bit of a mood killer at the time. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. Hopefully,
if at all. I wonder whether there is a culture amongst players generally, or maybe at Arsenal, which is if you feel something come off, that don't play. I know they all have their sort of aches and pains that they do actually play through, but they seem to come off like anyone goes down. Like for true, they come off straight away. Now, maybe that's just the nature of the injuries that or it could be, look, don't make it worse. Just come off. We've got players that can replace you. We'll need you sooner rather than later. I don't know. When was the last time we had a player went down for treatment, actual treatment, that wasn't, say, a knock on the head or something, and he wasn't play acted, that he then carried on? It seems to me like 9 times out of 10 they come off.
But I think a lot of that is the nature of, as we spoke about before, the nature of the modern game. We're playing every 3 days. You've got 48 hours turnaround, 48 hours rest and recuperation before your next game. And if they're an essential part of your side, you take no risks these days. Even Arteta said after the game, he was saying, talking about almost pleading with the powers that be, look after the welfare of these players. It is every 3 days, and look at they're covering more ground. The speeds are higher.
Yeah,
it's physically there's a limit.
I think the Premier League have also missed something as well, because at the moment it's great. There's upsets but over Christmas, a couple of years ago, when they played like 3 times in 5 days or whatever, like the mental schedule is, the third game used to be absolutely dreadful. It was like you had people just hanging on physically, and you get lots of low-scoring games, and like, who wants that? So I agree with Arteta, but that's where the money comes from. So it's really difficult balance to strike. Playing Wednesday night and then Saturday morning is ridiculous.
That is the nature of the beast. And I think we saw, I'd say when we came out for the second half, normally I like getting in at half time because I think Arteta's team talk seemed really effective. I just think they looked a bit spent in the second.
Yeah, well, definitely for the first 15 minutes of the second half, that was probably the height of my anxiety. And you got to give credit to Brentford. They had a high, energetic press. They broke with pace, with numbers, and it just wasn't comfortable at any point. And they'd made 5 changes as well, so a lot of their players were fresher. But those players lack minutes as well. And about on the hour mark, they ran out of steam a little bit. And they made a bunch of subs. They brought Henderson on. And it weren't the same. I think from that moment, I started to come down from stress mountain. We brought Saka on. We brought Eze on. Both of them gave us a bit of control when we had the ball that has kind of been lacking for a little while. Like, as you say, Eze, I think his first involvement, someone gave him an absolute disgrace of a pass.
He went, no problem, Chief.
Yeah, just killed it and beat the player at the same time.
I love watching him play. He's not the old school maverick, but we know he's not going to have your 90 touches or anything like that. He's a 30 touch, 90 minutes man. But I just love watching him.
Yeah, I do as well. I think he'll play on. I think he'll play off the left on Saturday if everything else being equal. So, and after those subs, we sort of actually created a few more chances. There was Calafiori popping up in the centre forward position.
Yeah, as is his want.
Right,
I love him.
Right-footed shot that the keeper sort of made a meal of, and Marino, the crack centre forward that he is, was there to mop up the pieces. I thought he should have just kept the ball rather than trying to buy a penalty. I don't think that was very convincing.
It's one of the worst flops you'll see this season. Just stay out. Yeah. Because
the keeper's on the floor, that's like... Anyway, I don't want to get... He scored a goal, assist for the second. But in between that, there were a couple of rebounds that we absolutely messed up.
Marino looked like his feet, all of a sudden, in the space of a nanosecond, weighed 20 stone each. When that rebound... I know it was slightly wide of him, but he just couldn't shift his feet.
No, he couldn't. And then the Saka one.
How did he hit it with such little power?
I don't know. I did laugh about it at the time. I'll tell you what happened. So I was watching it on telly, My wife was not watching it on the telly, but in the room. When he did that, I literally went, no! She went like, what, is it 1-1? I was like, no, Saka's just missed, basically. The reason I was so despondent by that miss, I think it was about 88, I thought that would allow me to sit down. I was pacing quite heavily at that point. That would allow me to sit down and then relax for the last 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, this is going to be throw-ins and corners and pumping it in the box. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be like that. We did eventually get that second goal. The Mr. I missed everything after minute 12 could just look at it and go, oh, 2-0. That's good.
But even that goal, I mean, me personally, I don't think it's a shot that should have been taken on. As we said earlier, Gyökeres was standing just to the left of him with the goal at his mercy. Did Saka know that as it's the nearly Christmas, that the goalkeeper had wrists made of lint chocolate? I don't know.
He might have done, because he had made a hash of those shots from. I wouldn't say a hash. He'd saved them, but he hadn't saved them that give you any confidence. So maybe that was in his mind, or maybe he just fancies himself in front of goal. And who could blame him? Not least because it went in.
That's it. And then 2-0. You look around the league last night. Nobody had an easy time of it. Not one team. Villa had to come back from 2 down.
Yeah, well, so we got Villa next. Let's talk about that. So I very smugly was predicted, as you did as well in the last episode, that because this is Emery's personal cup final on, he clears the decks. I want to know how many goals Aston Villa let in the game before they play us. Right? Because I think they got ironed out like 5-0 by Man City once. They let in 3 last night. I'm sure. I am actually going to look this up. I'll come back to you with the...
Be interested.
And when they went 2-0 down, I thought, oh, he's got the under-17s playing tonight because he wants everyone nice and fresh for Saturday.
Yeah.
But
Well, Martinez got injured in the warm-up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Martinez was injured in the warm-up, so hopefully we may not have to deal with his theatrics at the weekend. Mind you, saying that, he loves playing against us, but he's always got a howler in him, or one that goes off the back of his bonds.
Yeah, that Jorginho. I'm ashamed that wasn't Jorginho's goal. I thought he deserved to have that on his record, but the consolation of it coming off Martinez's face more than makes up for it. Don't worry about that. And yeah, he's a little bit in the Caicedo mould where he's right up for it against Arsenal, but I think he lets it get to him a little bit too much.
You look at, they had to come back, and I'm sure that took plenty of effort. You had Liverpool drawing with late own goal to equalise. You had the champions in waiting, Chelsea, shitting the bed, as is.
Yeah, well, we'll come to. I would like to leave that to late because I want to talk about Man City because they have emerged probably as our number one challengers, which obviously puts the shits right up everyone. But they did not look good against. Well, I say. They looked good when they were 5-1 up and everyone turned over.
It's one of those where you quickly turn back, you check your phone, turn back. Yeah, but they've got an Achilles heel. Their midfield isn't what it was. Everyone's saying, oh, Rodri's got to come back. He's been out a long time. He's the wrong side of 30. Will he be the player that he was? Touch wood, as I am now, he won't. And the defence is suspect. Yeah,
well, that is clear. They are letting in a lot of goals. And the Premier League view of teams changes very quickly. And if you think we can score against this mob, because we're starting to build this aura of you can't score against us. So Brentford did very well actually last night to not let that get to him, and I think Keith Andrews deserves lots of credit, especially as everyone thought they'd probably be bottom of the league. I
think he's doing a really good job. I like him. I think he's a good young manager.
Yeah, and last night I thought they were very good. So teams like that will fancy themselves at home against Man City to score, and I think that is a real dangerous place to be. The flip side, of course, is Guardiola might solve this problem and eventually, and they will go on a run, and it just depends. I just think we're more consistent than everyone this year, and so you get this like sort of concertina effect where everyone comes closer together. And then there's draws and there's wins while you've won 2 or 3 on the spin. And so let's get on to our favourite topic of the last couple of days, Chelsea.
They have been walking around like cock of the walk for the last, talking about they're going to do this, they're going to do that, champions elect and all these cobblers.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. They were rubbish in the second half against Leeds because the kickoffs were such that turned it on. I saw it was 2-1. And they were dangerous for about 10 minutes, Chelsea. But after that, Leeds doing what all Premier League away games can turn into, which is the crowd's up, they're in front, they're running their asses off, working harder than you, going for it. The crowd believe, everyone believes, and it turns into a nightmare. And all Premier League games away from home have got the ability to do that, which is why I think a draw for us on Sunday was fine. They had their best opportunity to gain some ground on us, and they messed it up through their player getting sent off, who wasn't available last night, and they are now 9 points beyond where they would have been if they'd lost on Sunday. So, they can take being marginally the better side for 30 minutes at home on Sunday.
And that's the narrative, everyone was saying, Arsenal, 10 men, very different when we played City last season, when we got a draw at City. But since the international break, we went into it 4 points in front of City. We're now 5. We went in 6 points in front of Chelsea. We're now 9. And we were 8 points in front of Liverpool. We're now 11.
Yeah, that is what I mean by, gradually eking out these leads. And so there will be times when City win and we draw, but I think that will be matched by us going around maybe even only 3 or 4 games on the spin, and you can knock up a point or two every 3 or 4 weeks. And I think that's how we've got to see it. And then it will remain stable as you both win 4 in a row.
Yeah, there's a long way. We're a third of the way through the season now. There's a long way to go, but looking at it, we are clearly the most consistent side in the league. And as we've said before, the only thing that can derail that is injuries.
Yeah, well, Rice went off.
He was walking around the pitch after the game and didn't look concerned.
Yeah, he said journalists he was fine as well, which is maybe it was like a little crampage or something that he had in his calf. It was definitely a calf injury. And they took him off, and he seems quite robust. So I imagine he'll be playing on Saturday. Who else do you think should be in the team? I mean, if Mosquera is fit, he comes back in.
Does Saliba come back in?
Well,
he's only a few days away. Yeah, if he was a few days away, they said he was touch and go for last night.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't on the bench.
Yeah, that's true.
But the bench is looking stacked now, so maybe that is the reason. You got Timber on the bench and Lewis Skelly. What do you need to risk a player for? I mean, I like the fact they sit directly behind the bench in their position.
In the way they play, I love that. That did make me chuckle.
Like Ant and Deck.
I've heard them called many things, never Ant and Deck, but I think I'm going to keep that one. That's brilliant. Yeah, they were sitting there. No, it's fingers crossed. Big Gabby's a few weeks away. Saliba's not far. Trossard's not far. So hopefully.
Well, I think the strength of the bench last night was pleasing. I thought that is, we got options here, and with players coming, I know we sort of got this 1 in 1 out, but we seem to have built a squad that can deal with this. I wouldn't mind seeing Eze and Odegaard. It depends how Odegaard's recovered, really. Maybe I don't know what the plan was for him. I don't know whether it was to play 96 minutes. And after such a long time out, maybe he feels good afterwards. I'll guess it all depends on that, about that sort of front three. Whether Marino must have run about 50 miles over the last 4 games.
Yeah, and we've got 2 proper strikers sitting there on the bench. So let's use them.
Yeah, I bet Gabriel Jesus, I think he'll take a little bit of time because there hasn't really been a game state where you can chuck him on and give him like 10, 15 minutes to get his hand back in. I don't think last night was the right time. Chelsea obviously wasn't the right time. Maybe Villa, when we're 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go. Please, can someone make me actually enjoy the last 20 minutes of a game rather than trying to, as I say, get my crampons on and summit Stress Mountain, as I seem to do. All this is in my head, of course, but I'd just like us to be 3 or... Is it too much to ask to win every game 3 or 4-0 with...
Going for a league title is not fun.
No, it's not.
Let's just remember that. But Jesus has had two behind closed doors games. So he's had, apparently, we don't know, but should be 70, 90 minutes in both of those. Would you be unhappy if we went Gyökeres up front to start and him come on for 20, depending on the game state? I wouldn't be at all.
No, I'm the same as well. We've got Wolves soon as well, which you would think would be a good opportunity at home to give some, but maybe even Norgard. I want to see if is Norgard in Siberia. I bet he was gutted not to play last night.
I think the game state just didn't allow it. I think he would be a bit more
if he
comfortable.
took Rice off, he could have brought him on, couldn't he?
I suppose. But yeah. No, it's an interesting one. I'm sure he'll get time down the line. We've got the a couple of Champions League games coming up.
Yeah.
There's games coming up where we can not heavily rotate the squad, because that always worries me, but you can start moving players in and out. I think Rice could do with missing a game here and there.
Yeah.
Marino, Calafiori. There's players there that can certainly do with some time out.
Yeah, no, I agree. So will we be back after the Aston Villa game at some point, picking the bones out of that? But until then, thanks for listening from me, and I will see you later. See you later.
See ya.